All right, everybody, welcome. Go ahead and grab your notebooks and get settled because today we are doing our final ultimate geography exam review session all about natural resources. I am super excited to guide you through this explainer today. We're going to break down some absolutely crucial concepts about the Earth's treasures, how we use them, and the massive real-world impact our choices have on the planet. My goal today is to make sure you have total clarity on this material before the bell rings. So let's get focused, let's get energized, and let's master this topic together. Here is our game plan for today's explainer. We'll kick things off by defining what a natural resource actually is, compare renewables versus non-renewables, and then look at the impact of overuse. After that, we'll do a quick pop quiz to test your knowledge, dive into indigenous views on nature, and wrap it all up with the concept of a regenerative economy. Okay, Section 1, defining a natural resource. Let's get right into what actually makes a resource. So, here is the core definition you need to remember. Think about it. Nature is just out there doing its thing, right? It's the totality of life and non-life forms in our environment. Trees, for example, exist totally independently of us. But here's the key takeaway. Elements of nature only become actual resources when we humans step in and find a use for them. When we cut down a wild tree and turn its wood into a table or harvest it for timber, that is the exact moment it transitions into being a resource. It's completely dependent on human utility and value. Now this right here, this rule of 3, I guarantee you this is going to be on the test, so write this down. For something in nature to officially be called a resource, it has to pass these 3 strict requirements. First, it's got to be technologically accessible, meaning we actually have the tools to reach it. Second, it must be economically feasible, so the cost of getting it can't be higher than what it's actually worth. And third, it has to be culturally acceptable to extract it. If even one of those is missing, well, that material just stays a part of nature. It doesn't function as a resource for us. To put that into perspective, look at the stark contrast between these 2 examples. On one side, you've got an offshore rig for deep-sea petroleum extraction. There could literally be massive amounts of petroleum deep beneath the ocean floor, but if we don't have the advanced tech to reach it, or if it costs way too much to drill, it fails those first 2 tests. It's not an accessible resource. On the other side, we have traditional harvested timber logs. But imagine if those specific trees are located in a sacred grove. Cutting them down would be culturally unacceptable, so it fails the 3rd test. These technological, economic, and cultural boundaries completely dictate what we can and cannot use. Moving on to Section 2, renewables versus non-renewables. This is the most common way we categorize all those earthly treasures we just defined. The crucial thing to understand here is the innate difference in how these resources exist over time. A general rule of thumb is that nature functions in a restorative way. Renewable resources do exactly this. They heal, they renew, and they regenerate themselves. Non-renewable resources, on the flip side, are kind of like hidden treasures formed over millions and millions of years. Think coal, petroleum, precious stones, metal ores. Once we pull them out and use them up, they're gone for good on any human timescale. They are strictly finite. Check out this real-world example straight from your source text. This is a micro hydro plant up in Himachal Pradesh, and it's a fantastic visual of renewable energy in action. It takes the natural, continuous power of flowing water and converts it right into electricity. And because that water keeps flowing, fed by natural rainfall and melting glaciers, this energy source is constantly replenishing itself. It's working perfectly with nature's continuous cycle instead of permanently draining a finite stockpile. But wait. Here's the catch, and I need everyone paying close attention to this. Take a look at this lush forest and flowing river. Sunlight, wind, flowing water, and timber are incredibly powerful renewable resources, for sure, but only as long as we manage them sustainably. If we disturb the natural rhythm of regeneration, even these abundant systems will break down. They aren't magic, they require our cooperation. Which brings us right into Section 3, the impact of overuse. What actually happens when we don't cooperate with nature's rhythms? Well, it builds into a really dangerous chain reaction. Scientists have clearly shown that irresponsible human actions directly disrupt nature's cycles. When we combine fossil fuel-driven industrialization with cutting down forests for agriculture, we trigger rising global temperatures. And this isn't just some abstract concept. Because of this temperature spike, glaciers up in the Himalayas are melting way faster than precipitation can replace them. This directly threatens the water security for millions of people living down in the plains who rely on that natural water tower. So you see, over-extracted our finite resources directly damages our renewable ones.
All right, pencils down for a second. It's time for Section 4, Pop Quiz. Let's see how well you've absorbed these concepts. Read the question and just shout out the answer if you know it.
Here is your question. Are sunlight and timber always considered renewable resources? Think critically about what we just discussed regarding limits and natural rhythms. I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And the answer is absolutely not. They are only renewable if sustainably managed. This is probably the biggest trick question you'll see on the exam. Look, if we harvest timber faster than the forest can physically grow new trees, we're going to eventually deplete that forest entirely. The resource literally loses its ability to regenerate. Remember, a resource only stays renewable if its natural rhythm of restoration isn't disrupted by our over-extraction. Awesome job on the quiz, you guys! Let's lower the energy just a bit and shift to a more reflective perspective. In Section 5, Indigenous Views on Nature. Consider this really profound thought from the source material. In many indigenous traditions of the world, nature is considered sacred. Nature is a nurturer, a nourisher. This perspective fundamentally shifts the whole relationship. Instead of viewing the earth merely as a warehouse of goods just waiting to be exploited for cash, indigenous wisdom recognizes the earth as a living, sacred entity. It commands respect. It's a reciprocal relationship. We can't just take, we must also respect the source of our nourishment. And that profound wisdom leads us perfectly into our final module, Section 6, the regenerative economy.
So, how do we apply that respectful mindset to our massive modern global systems? Well, social scientists and leaders are making it very clear. Christiana Figueres puts it perfectly. We must move toward a regenerative economy. We must return to the innate wisdom of nature herself, the ultimate regenerator and recycler of all resources. This means transitioning to systems that operate in absolute harmony with nature. It's about repurposing used materials, relentlessly minimizing our waste, and actively replenishing the stuff we've already depleted.
Let's bring all of this together in a final summary table. On the left side, you've got the traditional industrial approach. It's depleting, it's wasteful, it's disruptive to natural cycles, and it is hyper-focused on over-exploitation. Now look at the right side, the restorative or regenerative approach. It's replenishing, it's sustainable, it's harmonious with nature's innate wisdom, and it is entirely focused on regeneration. We can actually overcome the resource curse if we invest in the right technologies and skills to move our entire society from that left column straight over to the right column. And that wraps up our ultimate review session. But before you pack up your bags, I want to leave you with one final, thought-provoking homework question. How can you support nature's cycle of restoration in your own daily life? We've talked a lot today about massive global systems and deep-sea oil rigs, but honestly, it all starts with individual action and understanding. Think about the resources you use every single day and how you might shift your own personal habits from depleting to regenerating. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Study hard, and I will see you next time.